Well, there you have it, the final episode of Still Game. Des, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a wee bit emotional.
No, I'm fine.
You fine? What, you happy? You angry? You sad?
I told you I'm fine.
Right, well, we've clearly got a lot to talk about.
Oh, hold me.
Des! So, there we have it. Jack and Victor are off without even saying their cheery byes. Winston has waved farewell. There'll be no more scams from Tam. Naveed has shut up shop, while Isa has finally shut up. And Bobby's pulled his last pint. But what's left for him to pull now? Ooh, the mind boggles. For 17 years, we've been talking about Still Game, but now it's time to sit back and let other people, shinier, more entertaining people, do it for us. We're here in Maryhill Borough Halls, right in the heart of Craiglang, where we have some very special guests on our panel. Please welcome, we've got star of Gary Tank Commander in River City, Leah McRae, journalist extraordinaire Paul English, and stars of Still Game, Sanjeev Kohli and Jane McCarry. Well, Jane, we've literally just seen this. We're sitting down, composing ourselves. What is it like for you? How do you feel right now?
I really did enjoy that tonight, and we were greeting, weren't we, Leah? I found it really emotional, actually. It's hard.
Yeah, there must be a lot of emotion in this, because obviously it's been such a big part of your life. Emotional, happy, relieved, sad? What's going through your mind right now?
Absolutely, 17 years. I've got a 17-year-old son, so it literally has. We've all grown up together.
I'm not the dad, by the way. I can see where she's going with that.
So, you know, we've all kind of grown up together. It's been a huge part of our lives, and I can't believe it's been 17 years. It's gone in so quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, someone else who's been part of it for 17 years, Paul. You've covered it as a fan and as a journalist as well. And also when that last episode was filmed, you were there on set. Describe, what was the atmosphere like?
In fact, the very last scene where you just saw Bobby at the bar had just been filmed that day when I was in. And I didn't get to speak to Gavin. But I did get to speak to Michael Hines, the director, and Michael, I think it's probably the first time in all the years of doing sort of showbiz interviews that I've ever had someone break down. Well, he didn't break down. That's maybe overplaying it, but he certainly he was very emotional during the conversation, and he chose to stop talking at one point because he was talking about that scene, and you could definitely pick up on the vibe, but as you guys will know more than anyone else here, you know, you go from filming the last scene to filming a scene that's from, you know, the second episode, like off the back of that. So there was a definite awareness of the fact that the last scene had just been filmed, and you could feel something in there, I think.
The scene round the campfire, that was the last scene that we all filmed together, and that was a lovely night, wasn't it?
It was a beautiful night. Was it Rowden by Loch Lomond? Yeah. And it was beautiful because we all knew that was the last time we were going to be together. And it felt like a moment, the stars were in the sky, it felt like planets were aligning. And it was ruined because this guy, he just showed up, and so the whole place had been blocked off so we could film there. And the guy, he was certainly chemically altered in some way, and he wouldn't move. He said, "I need to camp here."
We would tell them why you had to camp on that specific spot.
Well, yeah, you had to camp on a specific spot by a specific tree because that's where he'd been conceived.
That's what he said.
So he wouldn't move.
And he wouldn't move.
Leah, I have to come to you as well. Obviously a huge Still Game fan. Was that episode, I mean, you must have been thinking about this for a long time. What was it going to be like? I mean, are you happy? Are you relieved? Are you satisfied? Are you going to write a letter of complaint that you're not happy? What's your thoughts?
At the BBC, listen, no. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. And to get to sit and watch it with Sanj and Jane as well was a bit of an honour for me.
We need to ask you, Sanjeev, I mean, you're someone who's played, I'll need to get this right, who has played, right? You no longer play the part, you played past tense. It's tricky to say it, but you played the guardian of the galaxies, the defender of the dibdabs, the champion of the chomps. Naveed, how are you feeling now that you no longer have to put on that false beard and that false belly? It is a false belly, isn't it?
Sometimes. There was a time I was comfort eating. But no, I like Guardian of the Galaxies, by the way. I'm having that. I've been saying to Jane, I don't know what to feel yet. I mean, that's the last episode gone out now. So there is an element of closure. So we stopped in 2008, and it wasn't on air for 6 years. It didn't feel like it had gone away. People still talked about it. People still shouted at you from white vans or in IKEA, "Where's Mina?" and doing lines at you.
But I think what you just said there, Grant, played. And for me, that will be hard because it didn't have a definitive ending the first time. People always said, when are you coming back? When are you doing it again? that won't happen this time. That's it definitely finished. So the first person that says to me, oh, you played Isa, that will be like a knife in my heart.
So let's talk about that ending, right? I mean, and I can't think of any other TV series that's left us like that. What did you make of it?
Well, do you know, my mum said, this is the truth, she's 91 now, and just before I read the last 6 episodes, we were talking about people, she's lost so many people now, as, you know, in time, and she said to me, we just fade away, Jane. That's what happens, we fade away, and I swear to you, she said that to me just before I read. So when I read that last episode, and we did literally fade away, there was no big drama, there was no big, you know, car crash or nothing, you fade away.
Who's feeling a bit emotional? Put your hands up feeling a bit emotional. I'm feeling it as well. You feeling it now?
Yeah, I feel like I've lost my family.
We'll need grief counselling after this. Did it end how you thought it might? How did you see it going?
It was just perfect, and it was just, you didn't have the need for any big accident or anything like that. It was just perfect.
That's all right, but you know what? It does seem that way. Quite a few tears, probably for you watching, and certainly in the room here tonight.
With regards to the ending, there were some incredible predictions floating about everybody. I mean, Paul, you'll be aware of this as well. I've got it written down here. One fan thought Methadone Mick had imagined the whole thing.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Which was pretty impressive, given that he wasn't even in it for 14 years. That must have been some powerful gear you were on, man. I think we were all surprised. I thought, actually, to be fair, Jack was going to go back over to Canada. But also one thing that stood out for me, wasn't it great that we all saw Mina in that last moment? What a... Tonight. Say hello to Shamshad. Hello, Shamshad. And we have to talk about the legend that is Bobby and the Klansman. What do you think happened in between those times?
I've got a couple of theories there. One of them, I think, is that because he's looking straight down the camera, it's us that are going into the Klansman. It's for us. The other theory I have is because so many of those episodes, I think so many of the episodes that hit and hold with people over the years are the ones where Jack and Victor have been reaching out to their family and their family haven't responded. And I wonder if, because Jack and Victor have gone, if maybe the family have come back to Craig Lang to just try and feel close to them and they've gone into the Klansman for a pint.
Well, they have indeed. And Bobby is indeed the last man standing. And it's brilliant to see Gavin Mitchell here in the audience as well. Big Gav's here.
At the end of it all, Bobby's still standing.
All right, well...
And very few of us can say that after a long night. Gav, first of all, your reaction. You've watched it with all of us there. What do you interpret the ending then?
It could be positive, it could be a negative end. It depends how you look at it, you know. But the problem was keeping it secret. I kind of knew it was muted over a year ago, a year and a half I've known what happened with Bobby. So trying to keep that quiet was really difficult. And when Greg told me one day going to work in the van, and we were talking about something completely different, we were talking about Bobby's mullet and it should maybe go a wee bit grey. Excuse me. And Greg said, no, we can't do that, because this is how it ends. And he told me, and I kind of, what? And it was like goosebumps, and kind of felt really choked when I heard the end, and it was like, okay. And I knew the boys changed things, but it didn't, you know.
You still got the mullet somewhere?
Well, the mullets went back to its home in Peru for long-haired guinea pigs.
Oh, listen, I think this guy's an absolute star, and it lives on through you. Gavin Mitchell, Bobby the Barman. Now, there are some fans who love the show just a wee bit too much, so we got them to film this next bit separately out of concern for Jane and Sanjeev's safety. Let's see what still game means to them.
Hello, Jack, Victor. Where are you going?
Do you know, when my old man wins at the bookies, he does the Scotch Corner dance.
Scotch Corner, Scotch Corner. We even named our tables at the wedding after yous all the characters, and we had pictures of yous all.
You're no Troy the Gardener. You're Bobby the Barman.
In Primary 4, I wrote an essay on you because I loved you so much.
That's the thing with Still Game, whether you're young or old, the characters are just so relatable.
Oh, Winston. Nobody who! Not with an eye! Both netted the dogs out.
Can you see me now?
No.
Can you see me now?
No.
Can you see me now?
Aye.
Do you know what? We've got a very special person here. This is the self-proclaimed walking Wikipedia of Still Game podcast host, Sean McDonald. Let's hear it for Sean. How are you, Sean? It'd be cruel to test you about this, wouldn't it?
It would, and that's exactly what you're going to do, innit?
Let's see how many answers you can get as you take part in our Still Game quiz. All right, here we go. No helping in the audience. Jack, Victor and Winston agree to give Isa's living room a makeover, but make a mess of it. Who do they pay to complete the job?
Chris the Postie.
Chris the Postie is the right answer. Well done, there you go. Good. In Cairds, what heirloom does Joe bet during his card game with Tam?
His dad's watch.
His dad's watch is the right answer. Well done. And let's see if you can get this one right. Your third and final question. What does Willie McIntosh have in his house that he borrowed from Jack?
A stuffed raccoon.
A stuffed raccoon is the right answer. Well done to the superfan. One bonus question, Sean. Whatever did happen to Tam and Francis's baby?
I think that's one for social services.
I think it might be. By the way, on Twitter, Ford and Greg claimed there was no baby and that we were all hallucinating it. So that's the answer. Although, from our point of view, have you ever seen that baby and Methadone Mick in the same room at the same time?
Now, the enduring thing about the characters in Still Game is how recognisable they are, regardless of age. For example, we all know a pair of pals joined at the hip just like Jack and Victor. But, Paul, what is it about this programme, Ford and Greg? What did they capture in the sessions of Still Game?
It's something we're all familiar with. They capture a sense of community, they capture a sense of the importance of friendship, and they capture something that's probably dying. And I think a lot of what they kind of reference. I was watching some episodes just a couple of days ago. There are references to like the disappearance of the high street. There's references to poverty. There's references. You know, so they're touching on so many things that we all recognise, drilling into things that make us stop and think, and they're doing it with humour, which is probably 10 times more powerful than it is if they were doing it as a piece of drama.
And Paul's touched on it earlier, hasn't he? I mean, it was that mix of humour, but it was also painfully sad at times. How important do you think that's the secret to the show's success?
Most comedies, they don't build on the characters as much. With Still Game, they're so in-depth with the characters. You know what everyone would do in a situation. And in other kind of situation comedies, you wouldn't necessarily know that because you don't have time, you know, because they are story-led, and that's what's amazing about it. And that, when we watched that last episode and Naveed did that for Isa, I mean, I really was tearing up. And I genuinely was like, because they moan and he slags her off, but then it's like she's an angel. And I was like, oh my God, she's just, you know, because like you do that for your pals and you can slag them off, like you said, but nobody else can slag them off. And it's a really, really Scottish thing, I think.
When you got these characters, Naveed and Isa, what did you bring to them? Who did you channel? Were there individuals in your own lives that are now on screen?
My mum and dad were older and I was an only child, so I was brought up with lots of older people round about me. And again, for me, you would always see like widows predominantly, and the men had died first in the west of Scotland. But sorry, boy.
Keep it light, Jane.
But I know, keep it light. You know, but I think to see how those women quite often lived their lives. So I would look at them. I would look at them in shops. I would look at them in bus stops. I would talk to people wherever I went, and picking up wee stories. That's kind of where Isa came from.
So that's the people. How real is Craig Lang, the place? And I'm not just saying that because the Rendezvous Cafe is across the road and we've got Osprey Heights behind us where we are tonight. But how real do you think that sense of community is?
The guy who used to cut my hair, he told me that episode where Victor's son, he sort of falls out with him and then he doesn't get in touch with him. He said that day he knew 20 people that phoned their dad straight after watching the episode, because it really tapped into something real.
Well, one massive change that occurred since the series returned is social media. We've got some things that have been reflected here. It was hilarious when Methadone Mick got his new Nashers, we all remember that. People started tweeting all sorts of things. Why does my ma look like Methadone Mick? I bought expensive clip-on veneers and now I look like Methadone Mick. And there was a car with giant teeth.
Love that. And here he is, Methadone Mick himself. Let's hear it for Scott Reed. Scott. Always want to ask you this. Does anybody actually think, wow, are they your real teeth?
Well, I just get consistently all the time, where's your teeth, man? Everywhere you go, so.
But this character's really taken off, and it's very late in the whole Still Game story. How hard is that for you then as an actor, coming into a very established bunch of characters?
Well, first of all, it's a real privilege to come into such, you know, a well-respected and much-loved show, and you've got amazing actors there, and, you know, I was made to feel very welcome, and, you know, I thank God the first season went really, really well. Otherwise, it could have been a different story.
Let's hear it from Methadone Mick, Scott Reed. Pleasure, sir. Pleasure, mate. What about some applause is here at Shug the Lug? It's Paul Young! How are you, Puppet? On behalf of all of us, it was lovely to see you in that last episode. How are things going down under with Edith?
Censored answer. We're going to get married, I think.
Oh, what a moment that would be. What about you then, in terms of the reaction you get? I'm sure, like Scott, you get a lot of things shouted at you in the street.
Some of them quite nice, actually. But in the first series in 2002, I was in an episode, and it was Jack and Victor are sitting beside the canal, and I'm walking along the other side of the canal, and they're whispering to each other, there's Shug, he's a mean old bugger, look at him. He's probably got a loaf of bread there, it cost 50 pence. What's he like? But of course, I forgot I could hear that. So I'm shouting, sun blessed, best of gear, get it up, ye!
Can't beat it.
And as I say, that was 17 years ago. And I still get guys in scaffy wagons shouting, sunblast, best of gear, get it up here. So that it's got a long life.
Oh, thank you so much. Let's hear it for Shug the Lug for Paul Young. Legend. Colin McCready's with us. Colin, what's happening? First of all, immediate reaction to that final episode.
Oh, it was just perfect, spot on. It was so lovely.
And for you, obviously being in Still Game and Taggart, what do you think the key is to making an iconic Scottish TV show, obviously apart from having you in it?
It's obviously having a great ensemble of actors, and the thing about Still Game is Greg and Ford don't write the best scenes for themselves. They share it out, and they all get a wee kick of the ball. And also, there's so many good guest actors, as we can see tonight.
Question we all want to know, which show's better, Taggart or Still Game?
Well, one of them was murder, and one of them was magic.
There you go. That's all you need to know. Best answer ever. Colin McCready. And what about this also here, president of the Still Game fan club and the heckler that properly stuck it to Winston in local hero this series. Let's hear it for Bernie. Thank you so much for being here. How was it for you joining the cast of your favourite show?
Getting the chance to appear in Still Game was so surreal for me, as I basically grew up watching the sitcom. Getting the opportunity to be a part of the show was an absolute honour.
And an honour for all of us as well. And Bernie, we couldn't let you go without getting you to repeat that iconic line from episode 1 of this series. So take it away.
Get off of the stage, you fat bastard.
Still Game may be the most watched TV programme in Scotland from the last decade, but the love for these pesky pensioners isn't just contained within this country. And you don't even need to understand what they're saying. If you don't laugh at the sight of Isa falling into, getting out of, then falling into, and then getting out of, and then falling into wet concrete again and again and again, then it's nothing to do with you not being Scottish. It's got everything to do with you being a tone-faced wanker. Let's meet some fans from further afield.
Hi, my name is Tina. I live in Sacramento, California, and I love Still Game.
And I didn't really understand the accent very well.
We've written a part about a guy who's a douchebag from Los Angeles, but he's originally from Craig Lang, and you'd be perfect for it.
I watched it with subtitles for probably the first 4 seasons.
I've introduced almost everyone I know to Still Game, and they love it.
I'm looking to open a Klansman theme pub in Cyprus. I've got to be honest and say that at the moment the place actually looks like Craig Lang. It's a shithole.
I went to this bar in Chicago that showed the Celtic game, and they were telling me that Roy Stewart comes in there.
And I love that
mixture of the sort of cold and spiky and kindness that you also see between the characters.
And then this big guy who used to be, he's a Glaswegian, but he worked in the Chicago Fire Department. He shouted, "Hey, Rod, do you want your folks to take me out?"
It's nice. It's kind of like, you know, getting your name put on Edinburgh Castle or something. It's like, ah, you're part of Scotland now.
I mean, that's just a little taste there. But Paul, why do you think the show travels so well?
Good humour's universal, friendship's universal, community's universal. I think there's also an optimism in Still Game that kind of is, you know, translatable right across the world. There are whole expat communities across, you know, Australia, Canada, America, other countries across the world who feel connected to home just by watching half an hour of this.
Their memories of home will be similar to, you know, what we're talking about, the high streets not being the same anymore, but they'll remember that, you know, the way that Craig Lang is.
Also, I heard a rumour that a lot of foreign footballers that come into Scotland, they're given Still Game DVDs.
No, that is not just, but lots of people who come here to live are given that so that they get a wee gist of the lingo and the rhythm of the speech and the humour.
Any strange stories about being spotted in far-flung corners of the world?
I'd like to say that I don't get recognised. They all do, but I don't. It's magic. I know it's smashing. But I know that, Gavin, you've been all over the place. Paul, Mark, all of them are recognised in Holiday, America, everywhere. But I don't. But the only thing I have had that I've loved over the years, I'll go somewhere and folk have called their cat Isa or their dog. It's always a pug. I don't know if that's a good thing. So it's always animals. But Mark was in a shop and this woman recognised him and she started crying, right? And she pulled back the bonnet of her baby and went, "Isa!" And she called her this gorgeous wee baby. So no, I'm not recognised, but I do like to think that there's pugs all over the world called Isa.
Well, things have been a wee bit too normal in the last few minutes, so let's see what more of our super fans have been up to.
My fiancée last year got me a birthday cake, and this is the actual decoration of the birthday cake, which I still have.
Still Game fans, of course, some of the most passionate TV fandom, putting their cosplayers from comics conventions to shame. It takes skill, craft, dedication, and yes, it does help if you're a wee bit unhinged. How you doing, Nicola? I just come to you because I know that you have a Still Game tattoo, don't you?
I do indeed, yeah.
I've heard you've actually got two.
I do.
Here's a question that I've often asked a woman I've never met before. Going to show us your feet? Okay, let's have a look. And there they go, on all their glory. Just read out what it says in your feet there.
So the one on my right says, "He who hangeth about getteth hee-haw." And the one on my left foot says, "2 pints prick."
That's a proper fan right there. I agree. They're all right. It's obviously a big feature of the Still Game fan to get the Still Game tattoo. Anybody here in the audience got a Still Game tattoo? Let me see you. Oh, big man, here we go. Well done, sir. What's your name?
Ryan.
Ryan, and what's your tattoo of?
Winston on my leg.
And what does it say?
Shot at Tadger.
Doesn't get any better than that. Winston on your leg saying, "Shut it, Tadger." Let's hear it for Ryan with his Still Game tattoo.
Guys, it has. It's the end of an era, and it's been part of our lives for such a long time. Leah, what are you going to miss about Still Game? We had it back, and now it's gone again.
I mean, you just need to go back to the start and watch them, because there's so much to watch. But I think I'll miss the characters. For me, everything's funny, the slapstick, you know, the storylines, but for me, it's the people, and it's a reminder to everyone when you're out and about and you see a wee old person, like what they've got going on and how they're still alive and kicking and they're full of fun, you know, and what they were and what they've become, and just makes people a wee bit more aware, you know, I think. So it's a great thing. I miss the characters.
So, Paul, what is it about this series that we've enjoyed? But how have they kept the laughs going for so long?
I think people have grown to feel like they know these people, these characters. They've taken them into their lives. They've been part of their lives in one way or another for the best part of 20 years. And they've made a real profound kind of emotional connection to them. Ford Kieran told me after the screening in the Cineworld to record the laughter track that he walked out after the final episode and there was a couple in the street. He thought that they'd had a tiff and that the husband was trying to sort of, you know, placate his wife in some way, but as he got closer to it, he realised what had happened. She was devastated and she was actually standing in the street sobbing and he was trying to comfort her. I guess there were probably one or two people felt like kind of similar emotional response in here tonight. And the two of you, I mean, has it hit you yet? I mean, the legacy that you're going to be leaving behind, or is it something that you may think is going to happen later on?
We're all good friends in real life, and I will miss that, even though we'll still see each other again. You do miss working together, playing those characters together. But I must just say, Paul and Mark and I went out for lunch the other day, and Paul was telling a story. I wasn't listening. I was listening to the conversation that was happening at the table behind, right? And he went, Jenny, McCarry. And I went, what? He went, you weren't listening. You were listening to what that woman was telling her pal. And then he never finished his sandwich and he went to Mark, do you want that? And he went, I'll have it. And then Mark went, hey, oh, here, I've actually forgotten my what. My turn the next time, and left. And Paul went for, he went, you actually have eyes and Tam. You've turned into your characters. So the thing is, I don't know whether we always wear eyes and Tam or whether we've become them.
So all that remains is to say a big thank you to our panel, Jane, Sanjeev, Leah and Paul. To all of the fans who sent in a video, and of course to our very special guests in the audience here with us tonight. Thank you very much indeed.
There you go. That's last orders at the Clansman. The shutter is down. There will be no more pints, prick. That was the final chapter, the last leg. Still Game has come to an end.
Jack and Victor may be gone, but their spirit certainly lives on.
Good night.
Good night.
Unfortunately, the sun has set on Still Game.
I just wanted to say goodbye to Jack and Victor.
Goodbye and thank you. I just want to say thank you to you all.
A massive thank you to all of the creators of the show.
Oh, yes. Thanks for the laughs.
Made my childhood.
Made our childhood. Thank you.
Thank you for entertaining us over the years. It has truly been amazing. Thank you.
If it wasn't for Still Game, through my early teens, I'd have had no part at all.
It's Scotland's treasure.